Humankind enjoys free will. Our species is in control of its own actions. We have the power to construct our own thoughts. Or do we? In this video, we take a closer look at 3 hypothetical scenarios in which actually, we're entirely under another entity's control. First, we look at the possibility that our lives might only ever amount to an alien experiment. Next, we imagine a supreme being on an altogether different plane of reality to ask whether they could be manipulating us from afar. And finally, we head back down to Earth to turn the focus onto our own governments, and especially with the potential for time travel in mind. This is Unveiled, and today we're answering the extraordinary question, are we being experimented on?
Do you need the big questions answered? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more thought-provoking content.
The universe seems like a vast and empty place, with billions of distant stars, but currently no substantial signs of intelligent life beyond our own. But maybe there are much deeper and more insidious reasons than we even realize for our apparent cosmic loneliness. First off, what are the chances of alien life existing in the first place? The Fermi paradox, proposed by the 20th century physicist Enrico Fermi, summarizes the problem. It argues that given the billions of stars not just in the Milky Way, but across all the universe, and the millions of Earth-like or potentially Earth-like planets out there, many of which are much older than our own, it stands to reason that at least some of those celestial bodies should have developed intelligent life and even interstellar travel. In fact, the Milky Way should have really been colonized already a long time ago. Clearly though, as far as we're aware, no advanced alien race has yet to conquer the entire galaxy, unless they're so advanced that they remain completely undetectable to all of our technologies. According to the paradox, this either means there are no aliens at all, or that the aliens are purposefully avoiding or hiding from us. As such, the idea that our lives could simply be an experiment carried out by an alien race is a solid answer to the Fermi paradox problem. Because if true, the alien experimenters wouldn't want to intervene by alerting us to their existence, as it would ruin the integrity of their study. Which takes us neatly to the zoo hypothesis, another idea on why we seem to be alone in the universe. The zoo hypothesis suggests that there are many alien civilizations out there much more advanced than us, but that the reason they haven't declared themselves to us is that they're waiting for us to pass a certain point in our own evolution, be that technologically, ethically, or philosophically. Only then will they make first contact so that humankind can finally integrate into an interstellar community that we're currently unaware of. Until then, we're like caged animals in a zoo, with our alien onlookers preferring not to cross-contaminate between their lives and ours. While this type of well-meaning observation could very easily fit the definition of an experiment, it's not necessarily the active and nefarious brand of alien experimentation we might expect. The pseudoscientific ancient astronauts theory claims to offer some kind of reason for what the aliens' end goal is. The theory, which by contrast isn't widely supported in academic circles, focuses on ancient megastructures, which it says are the product of extraterrestrial intelligence. The pyramids of Giza, the Easter Island statues, the Nazca Lines, and Stonehenge all have been linked to supposed ancient astronauts at some stage. According to advocates, these buildings and monuments are callbacks to when aliens were setting up their experiment millennia ago. They were left here to see how we, the puny humans, would react to them. Some versions of the theory even suggest that if we can one day solve the mysteries of places like Stonehenge, only then will we be deemed worthy of the attention of our alien overlords. Given that archaeologists and historians have more feasible explanations for most, if not all, of these structures though, it's not an idea that has ever especially taken hold. So failing the ancient astronaut proposal, there's the theory of panspermia, which argues that human life on Earth is actually extraterrestrial in origin. This could mean that we just happen to grow from far-flung materials that by sheer coincidence crashed down onto our planet, or that aliens from the distant past purposefully sent us to Earth, once again to begin their experiment. Otherwise known as directed panspermia, the theory has had some high-profile supporters, including Francis Crick and Carl Sagan. And some recent discoveries have continued to stoke the debate, including in 2015 when UK scientists found a microscopic, metallic unknown particle during an otherwise routine collection of space debris. According to the theory, That particle was actually a seed sent to Earth to spread biological material, and seeds like these could have been showing up for millions of years to essentially create humanity. As for where these aliens could have come from, regardless of whether they are in fact us or they aren't, a couple of relatively close possibilities have been tabled in the past. First, there's Mars. In one of the simpler theories around, humankind is but the remnants of an ancient Martian race that fled its home when the red planet became impossible to live on billions of years ago. Elsewhere, we have the very hypothetical Planet 5, an apparently now non-existent world which believers say was once a part of our solar system, before it disappeared around 4 billion years ago amidst the late heavy bombardment. In either case, humanity are the leftovers of an alien race that we no longer know about because it no longer exists. In this way, our lives essentially are a long-winded alien experiment in that we're actually the descendants of ancient creatures that hopped off of their original planet rather than perishing with it. But those theories still bill us as the almost accidental after effects of some sort of ancient alien behavior. The more disturbing interpretation of the zoo hypothesis has us as the specifically chosen guinea pigs or lab rats in an ongoing study conducted by higher beings. And if that's the case, we have to wonder what the aliens' true intentions are. Are they really just leaving us alone to develop at our own pace, or are they exerting some sort of control like a real-life simulation game? Are they manipulating our world from behind the scenes, perhaps to discover new truths about their own existences? And if they knowingly started the experiment, couldn't they willingly end it too? Perhaps they'll one day decide that it isn't going as they had hoped, or that they've collected all of the data that they need. What would happen to us then? Naturally, we'd never actually find out any of this, at least not without breaking the bonds of the experiment itself. But if our lives really did turn out to be an alien trial, that trial would never pass even the most lenient ethics board in our own world. With no consent agreement or any indication that we're even being studied, no right to withdraw from an experiment we don't even know is happening, and no idea about what will happen at the end of it because we didn't even realize it had started, we'd be in a completely helpless situation. The best we could really hope for is that the all-powerful aliens would at least grant us a global Q&A to bring us up to speed with our own insignificance once the experiment concludes. Of course, they could also just plain eliminate us and switch focus to another planet, galaxy, or universe instead. If we really are just the product of extraterrestrial intervention, being watched, controlled, and studied from the present day all the way back to when we first crawled out of the sea, then the whole of human history could well feel quite meaningless. But if these particular theories ever proved even half true, it'd completely change everything we thought we knew.
Do you ever wonder why it is that we're here? How did it come to pass that we should be living and breathing on Earth, going about our daily lives, thinking, feeling, laughing, crying, and everything else in between? The question of our existence is one that has always intrigued the human mind, fascinating and frightening us in almost equal measure. But what if all of this is really just a construct of a much higher power? As arguably the most famous theorized model for advanced civilization there is, the Kardashev scale needs little introduction. But we're going to zoom through the basics to recap, just in case. First proposed by the Soviet astrophysicist Nikolai Kardashev in the 1960s. It means to measure the advancement of civilizations based on the amount of energy they could theoretically harness. The original Kardashev scale had 3 levels or types. A Type 1 civilization can harness all the energy of its home planet. For Type 2, it's all the energy of its home star system. And for Type 3, it's all the energy of its home galaxy. Later versions of the scale, however, added a Type 4, which is all the energy of the universe, and also a Type 5, which is what we're most interested in today. Accepting that a Type 5 civilization could exist requires many moves away from the more conventional ways of understanding reality. That's because a Type 5 can harness all the energy from multiple universes. In other words, it holds all the energy of the multiverse. Briefly put, the multiverse is the idea that this universe isn't the only universe in existence. It may well be crammed full of planets and stars and galaxies and everything we've ever known. But the general multiverse theory says that there are many more just like it. And a Type 5 on the Kardashev scale is a civilization so advanced that it exists on a high enough plane to see and access all of it. In our minds, a Type 5 is akin to a god. It's all-seeing and all-powerful. And while there are some theories that the Kardashev scale could be extended further still to Type 6 and beyond, for this video, we're imagining there's nothing else above 5. Reach that point, and you truly have completed the game of not just life, but reality. What would a Type 5's existence mean for us, though? Humans are usually calculated as having reached just 0.7 on the Kardashev scale to get to this point. We haven't even fully mastered our own planet yet, and according to some more cynical worldviews, we might never get past Kardashev Type 1. Type 5 will always be almost incomprehensibly far away from us then. So much so that some theories suggest that we could be under its control. The shape and form of a Type 5 is something that no one can really agree upon. In that way, it's again like how we tend to picture gods. In most basic pop culture depictions, gods are shown as though they exist above the clouds, taking up a position that mere human eyes can never get to see. And from there, they're able to pull the strings of life on Earth. But it's also often said that God is all around us or inside us. There's a metaphysical quality to God, as though divine entities exist outside of the conventional laws of physics, time, and matter. Again, a similar description could be given to a Type 5 being. They don't so much have to obey the laws of physics or nature, they are the laws of physics and nature. We can quite confidently say then that if a Type 5 does exist, then humans will likely never recognize it for what it is. The distance between us and the top of the Kardashev scale is just too vast. But if we look hard enough, might we find hints to its existence? In some ways, this is what we're trying to do whenever we search for alien life. So far, across all of human history, there's no record of any life other than the life on this planet. But were we to finally discover an extraterrestrial presence somewhere, then we'd know that our way isn't the only way. We'd know that other civilizations and other civilization types were without a doubt possible. It's why, should we ever find one alien world, many scientists predict that we would more quickly find a second, a third, and more. Our understanding, at least, of our place in the universe will have moved up a level, which would force our technological development to catch up, to push us into the higher brackets of the Kardashev scale. Then the thinking would be, if we can get to Type 1 or Type 2, then why not Types 3, 4, or even 5? The fabled 5th level would seem to us much less of a, well, fable. Instead, it would feel like a goal waiting to be achieved. Sure, it could take us literally billions of years to get there, and we might need to change our physical being in the meantime, but we'd more firmly believe that it was possible. But for now, we still haven't discovered alien life, nor any civilizations that are more or even less advanced than our own. So where else could we go hunting for glimpses of a Type 5 truth? We could try searching for the equivalent of the miracles that feature so prominently in some religions, or we could await with faith the arrival of some sort of Type 5 disciple or prophet onto Earth itself. A Type 5 being would absolutely be capable of traveling anywhere within the multiverse, and wherever it was, it would always hold the total knowledge of the multiverse within itself. If for some reason it chose to manifest all of that into human form, then we'd have our prophet. Whether or not the rest of humankind would believe someone who claims to have come from a Type 5 world, though, is an altogether different matter. Failing that, miracle-like events could be our only real sign that our Type 5 overlords were watching. But even then, would we humans really know or understand when a miracle was happening? Say a Type 5 power generously redirected an asteroid on the outskirts of Andromeda so that it was no longer in line to strike us. We'd never realize that the momentous event had never taken place. Equally, were a Type 5 to have stepped in behind the scenes at the time of the Big Bang to ensure that conditions were just right for, say, oxygen on Earth, then we'd simply never know that that had ever happened. These things would all be taking place many planes of reality above our own, and would therefore fail to register down here on our lonely planet. But finally, if our continued existence really was reliant on the far-off actions of a higher power, then what if those actions were to grind to a halt? What if the miracles stopped? Perhaps the scariest part of imagining a Kardashev Type 5 is the realization of just how insignificant Earth and human beings probably are to it. Consider that there could be trillions of planets in our universe, and that this universe would be one of many under its power. Then why would it pay particularly close attention to us at all? Why should we ever hope to find proof of a Type 5's existence when we amount to just a single grain of sand along the endless beach of its own reality? If we are the creation of a Type 5 civilization, then our insignificance would ultimately be twofold. First, that creator will have created so much before and since us that they may never look in our direction again. In their minds, our planet is buried beneath billions of others, kept in a universe amongst millions more, and irretrievable unless there was ever a particular reason to dig it back out again. Second, while we generally consider life on Earth to be special, given that it's the only life we ourselves know about, that more than likely wouldn't be the case at Type 5. And the 300,000 years or so of the modern human could feasibly amount to a footnote on a footnote in their own records. Unless, of course, the opposite is true, and life is so rare and unique that our universe, holding our planet, is actually treasured by Type 5. It's certainly a more optimistic view to take. Perhaps what's really happening is they peer down upon us. They see us chiseling out our unlikely existence within an infinite multiverse, and they're filled with hope. Hope that one day we might learn enough to join them at the top table of reality. If and when that day comes, remember that you heard it here first. If there's one thing in all of science that would truly change the world if or when it gets invented, what would it be? There are a few big contenders, including interstellar travel, biotech for immortality, or a limitless energy supply. But for many, the true holy grail remains the same. We want the ability to break through the fourth dimension, access another plane of existence, and travel in time. It's not too much to ask, is it? Who here hasn't seen a time travel movie before? Or read a time travel novel? Everyone knows the basics by now, wherein humanity invents some way of manipulating temporal reality to enable one person or many people to zap backwards and forwards in time, to the past and to the future. One moment they're having breakfast with a velociraptor, and the next they're test driving a flying car with an AI companion 10 feet above the surface of a different planet somewhere. From one extreme to the other, in the stories, it's usually a wild, unpredictable, but exciting way to live. Of course, in our mind's eye, not all time travel is the same. Most variations of it involve a time machine or portal of some kind. But these come in all shapes, sizes, and states of matter. There are predicted limitations, too, including that the traveler might only be able to travel around in a time after the time machine was invented. Or for backwards time travel, they might only be able to return to the moments within their own lifetime. Let's hope that if and when it does come, time travel will be as free as possible. Although, according to some, that hope has already evaporated and it's already under lock and key. Here are some of the more spectacular claims that time travel already exists. It's just that we're not supposed to know about it. First, there's the fabled Montauk Project, one of the leading time travel conspiracy theories out there. Really though, Montauk covers most conspiracy bases, as there are also claims branching from it of alleged links to first contact with aliens, mind control, human experiments, and faked moon landings. The claims center on Montauk Air Force Base, otherwise known as Camp Hero on Long Island, New York, which theorists insist is actually a U.S. national hub for top-secret government activity. Word-of-mouth stories started up in the early 1980s, but most of the details track back to a book series started in 1992, The Montauk Project: Experiments in Time, by Preston B. Nichols and Peter Moon. The books, which are usually categorized as science fiction, chart the supposed beginnings of Project Montauk as primarily a weapons development drive in the 1970s. At the heart of the facility, though, a kind of hole in reality, a tear in space-time, was allegedly opened up. A portal through which experimenters could step and supposedly visit anywhere in time and space. In the books, it's dubbed the Time Tunnel, and it's pitched as a two-way thing, with it possible for extraterrestrial beings to visit us through the tunnel as well. To date, the Time Tunnel hasn't actually been discovered or revealed to the public, but there have been multiple claims made towards some kind of shady interdimensional goings-on happening on the site. In recent times, Camp Hero famously served as the inspiration for the TV series Stranger Things. There's more than just Montauk, though. Another major time travel cover-up claim centers on Project Pegasus, another allegedly top-secret U.S. initiative, this time ranging across the late 1960s to the early 1980s. The loudest and best-known voice within this conspiracy theory is probably the U.S. public figure Andrew Basiago, who has repeatedly claimed to have been involved in the project as a time travel test subject. In various news and TV interviews, Basiago has said that he was sent back to the moment of President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address back in 1863. According to Basiago, there's even photographic evidence to prove that he was there. The exact nature of Project Pegasus time travel is a little ambiguous, but Basiago implies that it involved creating a holographic representation of the time and place you wanted to visit, manipulating a kind of plasma gateway, and then stepping through that to arrive at the destination. The facility, said to have been stationed in New Jersey, was allegedly run by the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. But it gets weirder still, because Basiago also claims to have been involved in another trip, and this time to Mars. According to him, he and several others were ported to the Red Planet in the early 1980s on a series of reconnaissance-type missions to scope out our celestial neighbor. But finally, and as part of what's surely one of the most bizarre conspiracy claims of recent times, Basiago also alleges that former U.S. President Barack Obama was part of the same time-traveling team as well. That's right, according to him, Obama was a time traveler even before he was a politician. Needless to say, the White House has denied the story, and again, there's almost nothing beyond Basiago's accounts to prove that Project Pegasus ever took place. Finally, in the murky world of time travel cover-up, it isn't only the American government that's implicated. Other countries that allegedly have or are experimenting with time travel tech include the UK, the Vatican City, and China. In the UK, there's the case of the man from 2365, wherein an anonymous, reportedly former British government employee claims to have been sent to the future on a mission to learn more about it. Reports emerged in 2018 of his spectacular adventure, during which he supposedly beamed to the top of a New Age skyscraper. He also says that he saw flying cars and that humans of the future were living alongside robots and seemingly other potential alien species. Naturally, there has been no move by the government to confirm the story, but the man from 2365 says that time travel does become public knowledge in the year 2028. So mark your calendars. In the Vatican City, there have long been rumors of a very peculiar time travel device that's allegedly hidden away in history: the chronovisor. The big reveal this time came in 2002, when a book, appropriately titled The New Mystery of the Vatican, by Father Francois Brune, revealed details of a contraption supposedly used to view past events. It said that it was built in and around the 1950s and 60s by a team of the world's best scientists, led by a one Father Pellegrino Ernetti. According to various claims, the chronovisor worked a little like a television. Only what you saw on its screen wasn't a reproduction or a recording, it was the real thing. Ernetti even said that he had used the chronovisor sometime in the mid-20th century to view the crucifixion of Jesus Christ as it happened. Ultimately, and unfortunately for anyone seeking irrefutable evidence that time travel exists, it's claimed that the machine was dismantled before the end of the century as a matter of security. And lastly, time travel rumors have in recent times emerged out of China too. Most notably in February 2021, when a bizarre story briefly broke across the internet involving a leaked PowerPoint document. The document in question seemingly revealed private plans for a space-time tunnel, a technology that, if it did exist, would enable the user to manipulate time in a number of ways. Significantly though, and according to the reports, the PowerPoint also suggested that while the tunnel was a private enterprise, there could be research links between it and the Chinese Academy of Sciences, a state organization. Following up, it was next reported that the Chinese Academy of Sciences had promptly released an official statement labeling the story as untrue, and the initial interest on social media died down as all signs pointed to it being a hoax. But what's your opinion on this and the others featured in this video? Projects Montauk and Pegasus certainly rank amongst the most infamous alleged government time travel experiments. But could the United States really be hiding such mind-blowing technology? And then there's the man from 2365, who's really one of many smaller-scale time travel claimants out there. Plus, the chronovisor, which, if the claims are true, take time travel to the heart of the Catholic Church. Importantly, there's so far been nothing by way of solid, incontestable evidence that any of these examples really do represent a cover-up. But the stories behind them have certainly stirred the debate.
So with everything in mind, do you think it's possible that we're being experimented on? Do you think it's more likely by alien life, by a higher power, or by our very own governments? And if you do believe, then to what end? Over the years, there's been a steady stream of rumor and theory to suggest that it's at least possible that humankind is in some way being monitored and controlled. These are ideas that start on our own lands and spread out to the stars. But ultimately, they ask us to consider the true nature of our reality.
What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments. Check out these other clips from Unveiled, and make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for our latest content.